Today we are going to do a facial together. So over the pandemic, I know that a lot of you picked up a lot of goodies for doing facials at home. And I got to thinking that a lot of these things have gathered some dust at my house, just like I'm sure they have gathered dust at your house. So what I thought I would do is I would start putting together some protocols so that we can go back to doing some facials, maybe some treatment protocols, and use some of the stuff that we have picked up over the last couple of years. So for today, we are going to use a skin spatula, which is one of my very favorite tools. A lot of people picked this up over the pandemic because this is one of those things that was kind of just in office. And then when we were all stuck at home, a lot of people picked up these kind of things. So we're gonna use this today. The one that I have is the BT Microfusion. It's actually a new one from Biotherapeutic. I bought it because I was really excited that it has 30,000 oscillations a minute. It's very, very powerful as far as its ultrasonic properties are concerned. Then we're going to use some products that I have talked about over the last couple of years. The point of this facial is to basically get clearer pores, do some extractions, and refine the skin. This is me after I finished. I'm quite glowy because it really does help to infuse all kinds of good stuff into your skin. You finish with a very glowy protected canvas. Now we're gonna start with a cleanse, and you can do a double cleanse if you want, or you can just do a single cleanse. Obviously, if you have a bunch of makeup or a bunch of sunscreen, makeup, etc. on, if you're doing this facial at night, then you might want to do a double cleanse. So you want to get your skin nice and clean. Now the next step is when we are going to incorporate enzymes. Enzymes tend to kind of digest and help get rid of and loosen up the dead skin on your face. So what you want to do is you want to use these enzymes so that you loosen and soften everything up. It's super important when you're going to use a skin scrubber, when you're going to use one of these little spatulas, that you prep your skin. That's everything with this. In fact, if you are someone who is super duper dry, you may want to plan ahead by a couple of days and start to really hydrate your skin for a couple days ahead of time. This is going to give your skin the best opportunity to release the gunk that is caught up in it. Someone taught me about the skin and comparing it to a sponge. And they were saying when you're doing extractions, one visual way to look at it is if you have a super duper dry sponge. This is a dry sponge. See how it's thin and tight, and there's pores in there, because it's a sponge, but there's no way that if anything was trapped in there, it is stuck in there. It's tight and stuck in that sponge. Now, if we get that sponge wet, if we hydrate that sponge, then the sponge becomes much more open, and you can actually see all of its nooks and crannies and crevices, etc. So imagine the skin is a sponge, and when it is super duper dry, it's going to hold on to blackheads, it's going to hold on to debris, etc. When it's nice and hydrated, it's more prone to letting go of the things that are kind of, nudged into your pores, which would usually be blackheads. So when we're doing the enzymes, after we have followed the manufacturer's directions, which typically with a lot of the gommage type, you put them on and you work them into your skin until you start to feel it get real slippy, and then you feel the particles happening, the cellulose reaction with the enzymes reaction with your skin and all of that stuff. And then you continue to massage, because then you get a little bit of a manual exfoliation. And that is when we pull in our skin scrubber. So you grab your skin scrubber and you typically use it on the first application, which is called exfoliate, and you use it where they are all a little bit beveled, you will see. And this one you're going to use on the side so that it is flat to your skin. You're doing the flat. And what you're doing is you're using the ultrasonic, or if yours has microcurrent, you're using it to kind of help jiggle things around, honestly, and loosen stuff up. right now is all about softening and loosening before we go in and we do extractions. All of this prep part is super duper important to the success of the facial. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the enzymes, and this is where these little sponges come in so handy. I always have a bowl of nice warm water sitting there so that I can use these sponges throughout the process and thoroughly remove the enzymes. Now you're gonna use something called a disincrustation solution. I've talked about this on this channel for years now, as I have done many protocols for facials, and especially during the pandemic, it was fun to share this because a lot of people who were not estheticians or don't work in aesthetics had never heard of a disincrustation solution. All it is it's a softening solution. It is meant to help to soften the debris that is lodged in your skin. That's all it is. Disincrustation, if you think about disencrust, you know, remove kind of the crusty layer. Now, the one that I'm using today is by Gigi. This is just called Softening Gel. There are lots of these on the market as well. One that I do have on order that I'm really intrigued with, I will put in the description box. I think it's by oh my gosh, I think it's by Enzymes, and they are manufacturers of a bunch of devices. And so they have this softening gel, this disincrustation solution that is meant to be used, you know, with their various types of devices. I ordered it because it's pretty affordable. You get 8 ounces and it gets pretty good reviews. So I will be testing that one out for you as well if you have a hard time finding Gigi. Okay, so you get your disincrustation solution on, and this is when you use your tool again. We are once again just softening the skin. The more we soften the skin, the better our actual extractions are going to be. And you don't have to do this for a super long time. I mean, we're talking like a minute, maybe a minute and a half. I'm just using this one on clear, and it's basically just a certain level of ultrasonic, and you're going to just be infusing that disincrustation solution again and getting a little bit of that ultrasonic vibration so that once again, you're getting the disincrustation solutions able to kind of, it's like a gel, kind of get in there and soften everything up. And the ultrasonic is just helping it to penetrate just a touch into the surface layers. And it's also helping just to loosen, it's jostling things. Like imagine jostling the blackheads. Imagine that they're really stuck in your pores and you're using a solution to soften and kind of eat away with the enzymes and the disincrustation solution. And then you're using the ultrasonic vibration to kind of jiggle it all loose, right? Before we actually try to go in and do extractions. Okay, after you've done that for a minute or two, you can use your steam. This is when, so sometime while I'm doing that, I turn my steamer on so that it's ready to go by the time I'm finished with, you know, doing my disincrustation solution along with my skin spatula. Now you can steam. This is the optional step. If you bought a steamer, you like your steamer, this is a great chance to use your steamer. So you can steam for maybe a minute or two, and it just further softens your skin. So you kind of get the idea here. We're really trying to prep the skin so that when we get to extractions, we actually can get some gunk out of our pores. Okay, so now we're gonna move to actual extractions. This is the point when we use our skin spatula this way. So we're going to use it like this, and it's going to actually lift off. And what you're doing is you are using that oscillating, that ultrasound, that ultrasonic energy that is vibrating. This one, like I said, is doing 30,000 vibrations per minute, I believe it is. And so it is like really jostling the skin and the debris and everything. A lot of them that are on the market that are less expensive are maybe 24,000, 28,000. That's fine. This one's just going to be a little bit more powerful than those, but they still will work. Okay, so at this point, we need to keep our skin very, very wet. That's super duper important. So that's when I pull out some Aven. I like it because it's calming, and this definitely can leave you just a little bit red. You don't need to push super duper hard. We're just doing this gentle upward motion, keeping everything very wet. The reason why the wetness is super important is that some of those vibrations are going to use some of that water, and it's going to get in and it's going to act as something that's going to help push debris out as well. So you want that disincrustation solution on there, and you want to keep your face wet. Of course, you don't have to use Aven. You could use a spray bottle oil with water in it if you wanted to. You could use Caudalie, you could use La Roche-Posay, you can use anything you want. I happen to really like Avène because I think that it's very calming in nature, and it's probably my favorite. It is my favorite of all of the sprays, and I have a ton of them. I'm always buying backups. Okay, so you're gonna go over your whole face with this. Now at this point, you can actually do specific extractions. I don't have a ton of blackheads in specifically, but if you have areas where you notice that you get a little bit of congestion, you can actually see the blackheads, but you don't want to really pick at your face. This is when you can go ahead and use this, keep the area quite wet, wrap your opposite hand in a cotton, in a towel, in anything that will give you a little bit of grip, because your bare fingers won't, because you're too wet and slippery. And you're going to hold the skin and you're going to press together using your tool and your opposing hand. Now, when you do that, you want to just dip in and set the tool there. You want it to just take its time and jostle out the blackheads. Now, if you have been doing enough softening to your skin, you will get some blackhead removal. And if you find that you don't, then you need to do more prep beforehand. If you can see blackheads and you cannot get them out, then you need to go back to your softening steps and work them a little bit more. And sometimes also it may take you a few facials before you really can start to get some really great extractions, because you need to be prepping your skin all the time, not just during the facial. You need to be really trying to keep your skin soft and prepped. And you can always use salicylic acid in between in your T-zone or the areas where you're the most congested. That will help to keep them clear, but also help to keep them loose so that a tool like this will work. Okay, so once you have finished doing your full face, so you're everywhere you're gonna run this up everywhere. If you'd like to make it a little bit of lymphatic drainage, you can run from the center of your face towards your ear, and you're really not pushing super hard. You shouldn't finish this facial with tons of tracks all over your face. You might have some pinkness and a little bit where you can see where you were, but it shouldn't be, you know, like, whoa, what happened to your face? It should just be a little, you know, like blood flow to the skin, etc. So once you've finished doing that to your whole face and you've assessed whether there's any areas that you want to specifically address some blackheads, once you've done that, now you're going to remove your disincrustation solution. Once you get your disincrustation solution off, this is when you can use a mask. Now, I like to use a mask that is calming at this point because I've just been messing with my skin and everything, and I've been doing a lot of, you know, exfoliation, etc. So I put the mask on. This is when you take your tool again and you use it to infuse the mask ingredients into your skin a little bit, you know, a little bit faster. This is actually a really great tip if you own a skin scrubber, is to use it when you do sheet masks, because it will expedite your sheet mask. So if you usually need, you know, you leave your mask on for 30 minutes or whatever, you can use a skin spatula over your sheet mask and do it in 15 or 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. It really will help to infuse the good stuff from the mask into your skin faster. It's fantastic. Not to mention it's a little bit better than just putting the mask on alone. So once again, you put the mask on, you're gonna pick one of, this one is apply. That's the mode that you use. Usually you just use whatever mode isn't exfoliate, that's all. And I like to turn it on to the highest level. You can put it on the medium level. You just have to assess how you feel while you're doing it. And again, you go back to where it's flat against your skin, and then you're just infusing. You're going right over that mask and you are infusing. It really doesn't matter which way you go or how you do it. If I'm thinking about it, I usually do try to do it like lymphatic drainage. I try to always move things from the center of my face to the outer part. Sometimes I'm not paying attention and it feels so good that I'm just kind of all over the place. You're really just infusing the good stuff out of that mask into your face, and you are so open and prepared to get all the good stuff from the mask that it's a perfect masking session. You've just exfoliated, you have just really prepared your skin, and now you're infusing it with good stuff. When you remove your mask, I like to just take that chance to tap in the product. Sometimes you got to remove a little bit. Sometimes it's so saturated with good stuff that you might feel it's like too much. feel free to remove a little bit of the product if you want to, but if you can, you want to just tap as much of that mask in that you can. And this is when you move on with your moisturizer of choice. Right now, I'm using the Dermatology Water Cream. I've talked about this for a really long time since they brought it out, because it's just a beautiful, lightweight, super hydrating moisturizer, and it's perfect for summer. So I use this one, and then I finished off, because it is daytime for me, I finished off with a sunscreen, and I've refound my love of the Dermatology Universal Tinted Moisturizer SPF 46. This is another one I have talked about for years. I have talked about this. It's a lovely, lovely sunscreen that is slightly tinted, so there's no white cast, and it is truly, it's a dupe for the Ulta UV Clear. It has niacinamide in there, which is vitamin B3, fantastic for your pores, fantastic for your barrier function, fantastic for brightening the skin. So this one is perfect to use post facial and perfect post exfoliating facial. It's just a great one because of that niacinamide. And then that's it. And then I go ahead and I put my makeup on. So that's how I incorporate a bunch of things that I have picked up over the last 3 years since we all, you know, entered into the pandemic, and how I would incorporate them. Now, this is going to be a series. I am definitely going to start using many of the things that we have picked up. You're going to see these things repeated in various ways, in various protocols. And the hope is that some of that stuff that you bought over the last 3 years, 2.5 years, will actually get used. That's my goal. My goal is to use some of these fun tools and some of this fun stuff that I picked up when I was at home a lot, and actually pull them out and use them, because they're great things that we spent our money on. I hope that this video was helpful. Definitely leave in the comments tools that you have picked up that you would love to see in a protocol, or if you would like to see combos, anything like that, leave it down below and I'll do my best to create protocols for you. Check the description box. There will be links to everything so that you can see exactly what I used if you missed it while I was doing the video. I was trying not to do too much product-y. It was more about the protocol. So if you want to know what I was using during which step, I'll just list it in the description box for you. I hope that you're having a fantastic day, and I will talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.